So this is a quick video on what I plan to do for railroad ties and ballasting on my flyer layout. So I'm starting out with this foam underlayment. It was designed for O gauge track, but I've trimmed it down to the width of the ties on the S gauge track, and then I've cut it into pieces that will fit in between the ties, and then narrow pieces that will act as the ties. Now when I do mine, I'm not going to change the color of these because I kind of like the fact that they're close to the color of the original ties. So we slide the cut piece in and then work the ties underneath the rails. And then once you get them all underneath, you space them as evenly as you can. Now at this point, you could squirt some watered down Elmer's glue in between these and give it time to dry, and that'll help keep them stabilized while you're laying out your ballast. But the first time I tried it, I didn't do that, and it seemed to work fairly well. But I've noticed since I've put some more of these in that some of them are a little loose under the rail and are easy to move. You could also paint the ties if you wanted them to be a different color while they're in this position before you lay your ballast. So once I have my ties set up where I need them, make sure they're pretty straight. I have a container with 50-50 white glue and water, and I have another container here with my ballast in it. So we start by spreading ballast through the ties. And around the edges. Presser type stick. I'm going to use that to spread the ballast more evenly. And you want to go through carefully and make sure you don't have any ballast up on the rails. It might interfere with the flanges on your wheels of your locomotive and rolling stock. And I try to get as much of the ballast off the ties as I can. Once I've gotten things cleaned up and looking how I'd like it to look, I then take the watered down Elmer's and I use my eyedropper and carefully spread some between each tie. There is a little bit of dish soap mixed in with this mixture to help break the surface tension so that it will soak in without disturbing the ballast too much. Once that first bit soaks in, the rest soaks in pretty easy. You do this throughout the area that you've put your ballast on. Get it good and wet. You'll notice how when you put it on, it'll pool for a few moments, but then it'll soak in. Once it soaks in, you can start adding more to that same spot, and it'll soak in fairly quickly and spread throughout the ballast. Once you have it thoroughly wet, you let it dry at least overnight. There's a lot of water in there. It takes a little while to evaporate and dry, and of course the amount of time that takes will vary depending on the temperature of the room that your layout is in. Once it's hardened, you'll get something looking like this. Very firm, stable track. And here's what a couple of feet of completed ballasting looks like.